Hey, there's the mad camera.
EPK.
Chris, are you sitting up?
Is it for
when you
extra?
go to the window?
Yeah, I'll do a little step, cut me down, and then they'll go away.
How many hours is this thing?
Well,
They cut it in use like 3 minutes after they've been here 2 weeks.
They're on my back.
Yeah, that's the money shot. On my face. Get it?
Didn't want it. What'd you do?
Here we are. Look. Your father.
Yeah, he's gonna be walking on your butt.
But he should be out of frame so you can cut to the right. Because you have to cover them on the move.
Right.
Aw, I've interrupted happy time. Look, your father wants you to check out the delay problems we're having today.
And cut. Very nice. Let's print that.
Give you finger. You see?
You don't want this to work, do you?
How come you always have the underlining, the gay subtext? Why you always have that?
Because I think my character is a lot like you. Now here's what I did. I go.
You shouldn't say stuff like that.
I didn't. You did.
I did, but then you added to it.
I had to go with it.
Go again, please. Keep the energy up.
Camera. And action.
Awesome! Cool candy bars in the freezer and keep them cold. Damn it! Oh! Here's how I want to go. It was your fault. Get out of here! Fucking Spade's making faces.
Because he's not like a real actor, so he always is on the verge of like starting to laugh, or whenever I turn around, he flips me off or makes a face. So it's not fair and it's not right and he's not good. But the under 5 crowd seems to love him. Give him what he wants. Let him take off.
41 Alpha, take 7 marker.
It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence. Googie. I don't have anything. Never let me do a freebie.
I like that, Spade. That was good.
And action.
We did it.
We did it.
Yes! Richard, I'm so happy. Hold me.
Ugh.
Don't run away from your feelings. I was just having fun. Didn't get the sale. We still got the seal. Hey.
Here, one more time.
Pinch my toe. Pinch my toe, Mimi. Yeah, where are we gonna take the deer?
I don't know. The vet?
You take Dennehy.
Okay, let's do one more time.
That's my 3rd chin.
Second sticks.
Ma'am, I'm thinking about blowing up the bomb building. Shut up!
But why do they put a guarantee in the box then?
Because they want you to think that they gave you a filled sandwich. You're taking a bite out of it and... Ah! Hook it! Hook it!
What are you saying? This is the guy trying to buy the company, not to mention put you out in the street, and all you can say is, he seemed like a nice guy.
I can't.
I don't think we can leave it on.
Richard, what's happening to us? Kim, that's way too f***ing tight. Kim, I'm bleeding.
Marker.
Oh!
You and I would be in like 10 years.
And action. Sorry, the door's ajar, please. Close the door.
How can a door be ajar? Whack!
Quickly, please. Here we go.
Hey, you want a guarantee? Here's your f***ing guarantee. A wrapping in a rubber hose, you mother. It's just that this was so big. I'm sorry.
You're right.
Oh!
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what is this thing? Ew, Lewis. Hey,
Your dad was the best at telling people what they wanted to hear, telling people what they needed to hear. He was good at a lot of things.
I can't breathe. God. This f***ing pen doesn't work, man. This isn't the right pen. Oh! Okie dokie. Birds. There's birds. We could drive around in Boog's front end loader. We could go to the late night out. God damn it! Okay. Gotcha, thanks. Oh my God.
Let's
We
go.
don't take no for an answer. We don't take no for an answer.
I didn't like that one.
Still rolling.
Okay, say the line one more time. Big smile on this one, Dan. Politician. And action.
So, did you hear I graduated early?
Yeah.
Did you hear I finally graduated?
So, did you hear I finally graduated? Yeah. The only thing I can figure out is whether to get Chicago style or thin crust. The salesman has left the building. See you in about 5. Oh! Oh my God!
So, hey, what exactly do you do for Big Tom?
I research new clients, put meetings together, organize his schedule.
It's great. You know, someday when I'm cashing the elephant checks, I'm gonna get me a male secretary.
Well, I'm not, as you put it, a male secretary. I'm an executive assistant who advises Mr. Callahan on the auto industry.
Sort of like a stewardess that wants to be called a flight attendant. Sorry about that, boss.
Whatever. Can you give me a little room here? You're crowding me. Are you wearing high karate?
Hi, I'm Tommy. This is Michelle. We're alcoholics. This is Michelle Brock, the prettiest gal in Sandusky. Michelle, say a little something into the camera.
A little something into the camera.
Sounds good, Tom, but I'd like to take a look at your operation before I commit.
Fair enough, Doug. Of course, I could get a hell of a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
Bull's ass, that's great.
And you guarantee everything you sell?
Oh, see, now, Doug, I could guarantee you all day long, but we both know a guarantee is only as good as the man who writes it. Now, my name's on the company, and it's on the paper. That's a blank page, Doug. You fill in any deal you want, and I'll stick to it, by God.
Sounds good, Tom. I'll send the contract next week.
Good man, good man. You're still the best, Tom. 8 whiskey sours and still sell the son of a bitch. Damn, I'm good. Where's my wife?
Congratulations, Mr. Callahan.
Way to go, Chief.
Hey, when's our next raise?
No, serious, when is our next raise?
Michelle and I shared a history class together a while back.
Yeah. Oh, no, do the one where you imitate Mr. Capiaghi, the teacher. It's funny, it's funny. Do it.
All right. He was also my football coach. And he'd like go up to us and go, hell, if you guys want to sacrifice the state championship for a bag of reefer, hell, be my guest. If the big game isn't worth a big bag of pot, then hell, there must be some kind of hoopla. Mark me down for a yes.
I just want to tell you, you really look dynamite today, Beverly.
Yeah, Tom, you are a lucky man. Boy, would I like to get some of that. Oh, God. No, listen, Richard, you got an edit button on that thing? Come here. Come here, you little prick.
And then cut to him like at a party. Oh, you assholes. I'd skip the game, but the principal's been on my ass.
Hey, am I a lucky guy or what? Look at
I'm pretty lucky, too.
let's see. Beat it, Richard.
No, really, Mr. Callahan. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Dad and Beverly.
Bye. Bye, Richard.
Beat it, Richard.
222, take one marker.
Where'd he go?
You check the elevators, I'll check the bank.
We were shooting a scene in a lobby, and all the script called for was for Chris Farley and David Spade to come through the door, say their lines, and they run off camera. And what happened was Chris suggested, hey, what if I get stuck in the revolving door?
Then the next thing you know, Chris is diving into a spinning revolving door and jamming his body into it without ever testing it before. I mean, you know, I've had nightmares about doing that, you know, about getting caught in revolving doors, and he's just throwing himself in.
Here's what I want to do. Let's do it.
We should be all both in the same triangle.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Do that. That's good. That's
Can you see that?
And it's good that you can be flexible enough to adapt to those kind of opportunities. And it's happened a lot on our set, and the film really benefits from that.
Take 10 marker.
God damn it.
That's okay. One more. Yeah, you were waiting.
I know I was, so that we got to time this perfectly.
Correct.
David has got to wait until that door is.
You can talk to him through it. Go, wait.
Right there is where the door has got. Oh God, it does go by itself.
Yeah.
Right there is where David's got to come in. We got to come in together.
Take 17 marker.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. You check the elevators. I'll check the bank.
And cut. What was happening?
Let's say we started here. We know he's gonna come, so we're gonna take that one.
Yep, we're gonna take the one in the chamber.
Okay.
So he can still do it, but as long as it starts stop, we know which one we're gonna take.
Yep, we're taking the one in the chamber.
All right.
Let's try that.
We've devised.
Take 20 marker.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. You check the elevators. I'll check the bank.
And cut. Good. Let's print that. That's very good. That was perfect. I don't think you could have timed that better. That's right. I don't think you could have timed it better. Two great ones.
That the door did not give.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to smash me and keep smashing me, but that one breaks.
Bone crunching sound.
Good. Very good.
Excellent. We got it. Nice job.
Of course I understand what no means. But if I took no for an answer, I'd probably wind up on a street corner selling spicy hot dogs and wearing a funny hat, right? It makes sense, doesn't it?
Look, I've been doing business with Callahan since I hung out my shingle. But I don't like you. Probably never will. You're a smug, unhappy little man, and you treat people like they were idiots.
How about me? I'm a Callahan. Big Tom was my dad.
Son, I was sorry to hear about your dad. I was. But before I decide to keep my business with your place, I'd have to come by and have a look at your new operation.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you can get a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but wouldn't you rather take his word for it?
What?
No, I mean, you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up a butcher's ass, but then, no, it's got to be your bull.
Wow.
Here's the deal. If I want you...
You have derailed.
Shut up, Richard. T-bone's bull's ass. Figure it out, because I can't do it for you. You're starting to freak me out, mister. Say something.
Boy, I'm really at a loss for words here.
I can't do this anymore, man. My head's about to explode. My whole life sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. My dad just died. We just killed Bambi. I'm out here getting my ass kicked, and every time I drive down the road, I want to jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge embankment. I can't...
We'll be in touch.
If I wanted a kiss, I would have called your mother.
I've worked with Chris Farley on an HBO special, and I wanted desperately to do a movie with him, and across the Paramount desks and Lorne Michaels' desk came this script.
When Lorne pitched it to Sherry Lansing, the idea for the story, he pitched the idea of Chris Farley and Rob Lowe being brothers.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
And it was later then that it was changed, and David was brought in, and although they aren't literal brothers in the movie, it became these very much like they are brothers.
Shut up, David. I was riding me. Background. It was a funny whole lot of nothing.
I was on Saturday Night Live. I've been on there a few seasons. Not done as much as Chris, that's for sure. Chris came on and hit the ground running. I was kind of a writer performer.
Would you be a lamb and not smoke? Thanks.
But I'd done a few things, and we shared an office, Chris and I. So Lorne Michaels would watch us around the office, and we were like a little team.
How do you think the eggs felt? Hey, let's find out. I'll be you, and you be the eggs. How about that? Hey, look at this! I'm gonna throw some eggs around! Look at me go here!
Particularly when you're writing a comedy, the more that you know the person you're doing it for, you know their moves, you know their strengths, and it's easier to write something that you can see them doing and being funny doing.
But I'm sitting around as soon as I find out he wants to buy something.
That's okay, you did great up till there.
Sorry.
That was good.
That was very good.
It was a really exciting picture to make because so many of the people were first-timers. It was my first picture to be an editor. It was Pete's second picture, but it was like Fred Wolf's first. And while Chris and David had been in smaller roles in pictures, this was really their first time to be starring roles.
Well, it hasn't changed me one iota. You know, a lot of times...
I think Lorne, as a producer, was great. He obviously gave us a huge chance, and initially is the whole reason it got made, by saying, these two are funny, you two write something for them, and kind of just steered the ball after that.
Before Tommy Boy, I'd never worked with Lorne. I, of course, knew of him, had met him. I'd worked with Saturday Night Live cast members. I worked with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd when I produced The Blues Brothers, and had been around the show, but we had never done a film together. And when I asked, what do you have, he said, about 30 pages of script and a release date. So I knew from the get-go that this was not going to be a run-of-the-mill process in getting this film to the screen.
A/B comment, Mark.
And that's when the whores come in.
Okay, good. That was good speed. Let's keep it that speed. Do it one more time. Whores. Almost sounded like horse. Okay, ready? And that's when the whores come in.
They do it too.
Give it a good... Okay, okay, excellent.
Bonnie and Terry Turner wrote the original draft called Billy the Third, a Midwestern, and I came on, and at the time that I came on, they were just starting up a television show. They had gone on to do Third Rock from the Sun and have a very successful a television career, and they really couldn't afford the time to stay back and do the rewrites on the script because we had some pretty, extensive ideas. So Fred Wolf came in.
Okay, so they had a script, a basic idea that they wanted Farley and Spade to be in a movie, and there was a bunch of changes that needed to happen, and so Lorne said, oh, maybe you could go and sit with Pete and maybe throw a few jokes his way, because you know Farley and Spade's sense of humor and the way they talk and so forth.
And Lorne gave him to me for about a month and a half, 2 months, before he had to go back to the SNL season. And I made sure I wrung out every ounce of energy that Fred had.
It looks real.
And then it became evident that we needed more and more stuff. And the two of us at his house, we started putting together cards for what an entire new second and third act would be, carting up like the set pieces and where we were headed, because the guys were just on the road selling brake pads. That's the basic premise of this movie. And as we kept carting it, it was never really stated officially what my involvement was going to be, actually, as the writer of the screenplay. And I had been hired to do, it's called punch-up. And so it's just an unofficial sort of, you sit there and throw jokes out and whatever.
Fred hung in there, and I remember calling it the Magic 66. He gave 66 pages of something wonderful about 3 weeks before we started shooting, and then I knew we actually had a movie, even though I didn't have a second half. I had no idea how the movie was going to end. I knew if we started with the 66 pages that we'd have something.
Marker.
That's right, you're not your dad. He could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Ketchup popsicle?
Yeah, I learned everything I knew from him. Yeah, I learned everything I know from him. I didn't have a father and he looked out for me. But you, he was your real dad, and you just didn't care.
Filmmaking is an evolutionary process, even in the best of times. So when you don't start with a completed script and you have to start at a certain time and end at a certain time because of people's schedules, it forces you to work in a certain way. So the trick is to still get good work under those conditions.
Yeah, we got
it's been great.
15 seconds of the movie, right? Now we got another hour and a half to go.
It was a very kind of troubled schedule because we were supposed to shoot in the summer before they started back on Saturday Night Live in the fall. Well, of course, as movies go, things didn't quite work out that way, and so we started shooting late in the summer.
We started in September, right when Saturday Night Live starts. Also, Toronto isn't 15 degrees yet, but it's heading there quickly. You know when you get so cold you can't enunciate, you start going, here you're in at. And you start foaming. That's what's happening to me. And so we've got a timetable of, we're shooting in Toronto and we're shooting Saturday Night Live. And we had a little tiny plane. I just called it a private jet because it sounded cooler, but it was basically getting an MRI. You lay down, it's like this big. So we couldn't stand up in it. It's tiny, it's stuffed with candy and booze. And we would fly back and forth and do Saturday Night Live, Saturday, obviously, Toronto, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Fly back Wednesday for read-through, fly back Wednesday night to Toronto, shoot Thursday, fly back Friday, Saturday, do the show. And fly back after the cast party in the middle of the night Saturday. That worked well for about a week.
That's it! You are gonna die! I am gonna get you! Oh!
Because of the work that needed to happen, anyway, it was kind of a saving grace. We needed time, and because they had to go and do Saturday Night Live, it actually gave us time to think of new scenes and new ideas and actually put them into production.
And action.
No!
Okay. And action.
No!
That was good. One more like that. And action. Cut.
It's interesting. A lot of people think, making a comedy, it's the life of the party and you're going to have the best time. And sometimes it actually is a lot harder than making a drama because if it's not working, you can't leave until something happens right.
Well, actually, it echoed the show. The way Saturday Night Live was put together is we have to do a live show Saturday night at 11:30, come hell or high water. It's got to be ready to go, and so you've got to put it out there on its feet.
I wish this card I could play around with.
Yeah, you can.
Or,
yeah, you can.
I cut myself. I'm getting a zit.
Plus, we were left to our own devices up there because it was so, we were so under the gun, so you didn't have time to have your second thoughts and third thoughts. It was pretty much like, I think it's gonna work, let's put it on its feet and see if it'll work.
I have questions for my director. I like to get in tune with him, in sync. It's like a train or a runaway locomotive. If I just say, check the elevators, I'll check the bank. No, you. That's a stupid question. All right, all right, I like to just check in.
It was great to have Pete Segal directing Tommy Boy. We had done The Third Naked Gun together. It was Pete's first feature, and for me was a great experience. We had developed a shorthand in terms of working with each other and a trust, and given the working conditions that we had, it was essential that we be able to trust each other to get the picture done. One guy came out from behind there, and now someone crossed into deep.
Pete is a comedy mathematician. That's the way I look at it. He would stage all of the jokes, all of the gags in Tommy Boy with a mathematic, sort of chemist's construction.
We've got kind of an empty foreground area that in the beginning of the shot might be nice to have some crosses.
Yeah, just let it roll.
They were literally like puzzles that he would place. Everything was very precise, everything was very thought out, very little was left to chance. It was always about where the camera was and where you looked. He was very, very precise. And, you know, he knows how to deliver that joke.
So once you take the toke, right? Mm-hmm. Then wait till I say action, go, wombat! So like you're holding your breath with it. Because then when I cut to this shot and you're going, you know, that'll show that what you've been doing.
I think he brings a class to a genre that has been disrespected in the past.
Steady yourself, steady, and shh, and action.
And it, to use a Farley phrase, it churches up what could be seen as sort of just a genre picture. I think he makes them bigger than they can be. And but the most important thing is he's a huge comedy fan, and he's a huge fan of the guys who are funny, and that's really important. That's great.
And go. Okay, walk him in and action.
Wombat! Woo! Hey guys, do I look different now that I'm a college grad?
Not really.
Well, apparently.
First of all, Chris was one of the funniest people I'd ever met.
No! I got that for deer!
And so I knew if I could at least harness some of that energy that he had, we'd really have something.
Oh, my fanny! My fanny made a mess!
He inhabited that part. It wasn't like there was the part of Tommy Callahan existed before Chris Farley. It was molded and shaped and written to what Chris could do.
Mark it, David. Gotcha. 525, that's it! That's it! Oh!
We have Spade.
Hey!
Mark it, David.
Here we go.
What are you doing?
It's 9:25. Sorry.
Here we go. And what the hell are we...
That's it! Oh!
And cut.
That's it! Oh!
Jeez.
He was a surprisingly good athlete. He was flexible and powerful, and he had, like Belushi, he had a great sense of balance, and you know, he could move.
Hey, mama, don't you treat me wrong. Love me, girl.
He could do things physically that people would say, oh my God, somebody that heavy would not be able to do.
Take 3 marker.
Your firearms are useless against them! Don't be a hero! Oh, God!
There's a scene that I forgot about in the deleted scenes on this DVD where he was running to campus late for class, and he flipped over some cars and ran across the hoods and somersaulted and everything, and dented the crap out of these cars, by the way. You know, unfortunately, it didn't wind up in the movie, but that just was a testament, you know, to how fearless he was. Falling through tables? No, there was nobody I could get to do it.
And you can go back and see things on Saturday Night Live, from his ice skating to do other things, where you really get the command that he has of his body and how skilled he is at physical comedy. It's not just a question of letting yourself fall and letting gravity do the work.
He said, Chris, we'll get some stunt guy to come in and do this. Absolutely, he wouldn't hear of it. He was completely dedicated to doing all his own comedic stunts.
See, I'm kind of looking up for that, for all. You know what I mean? So what's the best way that I can get the shot right before I hit the table in the camera? Marker.
It's scary for producers, but pretty amazing for the audience when they can see, when you don't cut away from the face and you actually see him fall like a big oak tree.
We're gonna show.
And cut.
Cut
it. You okay?
Yep.
Wow.
All right.
You know, Chris and I recognized each other. There's no question about that. We had a definite recognition of each other as being a certain type.
Damn, I'm proud of you. Mr. Big-Time College graduate, huh? Say thanks, Dad. Thank you, Jesus.
I'm sorry.
You look at that movie now and you think, my God, they are related. They have to be related. They are exactly alike. And that is a testament to Mr. Dennehy.
There's, as I said, there are times when you just feel luck is going your way, and I think we couldn't imagine anyone but Brian Dennehy playing that part. We'd written it that way.
There's a moment, just before the wedding, which was just about this much in the script, and Brian said, "Can I try something? Is it okay if I don't say these lines?"
Look, Tony, there's something about getting old and being alone. You know what I mean? There's something.
Dad. It's cool.
And it was an ad-lib moment, and it said what, 1,000 words couldn't say.
So when you're doing this kind of insane comedy, and especially with younger actors, you want to populate the film with other characters played by actors who really give viability and earnestness and a reality to the movie.
1 Denver, take 5, Mark.
Tom, I want to make a little announcement. There's an airplane flying overhead.
I want to print that, though.
It was a hard part to cast, the mom part, because it had to be somebody that wasn't immediately apparent that they were going to be the bad character. And she's so sweet and she's so lovable that in life, and besides being drop-dead gorgeous, that you never suspect Beverly.
I was in Hong Kong. Actually, I was in China when I got the call. And they asked me if I wanted to do it. I knew about Chris, of course, about Chris Farley. I got very excited and I got on a plane, and I think it was definitely within 48 hours I was coming out of that swimming pool in Toronto. I had to get from Hong Kong to Toronto and literally jump in the pool.
The first day I met Bo Derek was the day she came out of the pool. And the first moment I met her, she was showing me her bikini. Is this okay? And then I'm doing that guy thing where I'm just staring right at her eyes. Fine, it's perfect. You can't look. Even if they're giving you license to look at my body in this bathing suit, it's for art, it's a movie, I couldn't do it. And so literally on film was for the first time that I actually saw what she was, oh, it's blue.
53 Bravo, take 2, Mark.
Hello, Paul.
Mom, you're looking good.
You have a nice trip.
Yeah. You got a problem?
No, not really. Except for a 2-point takedown.
Oh, that's gonna leave a mark.
Well, Rob is, to me, one of the comic gems that movie. I mean, people don't necessarily expect him to do what he did in that picture. He was very funny.
Big four marker.
Not good.
Kelly, come, Cal. Come here, Cal. Come here, Cal. Kelly, come. Here, Cal. Come here, Cal. Come here, Cal. Kelly, come. Come here, Cal. Come here, Cal. Up. Come on, Cal. Up, Cal. Good girl. And a girl, Cal. Good girl, Cal.
You know, he was such a, not only a pro, but a good sport, because we really beat the crap out of him.
It's such a glamorous life, isn't it?
He did all his own stunts, except for one, which didn't make it into the movie, but you can see it in the deleted scenes when he falls off a water tower. But anyway, Rob was fantastic.
We wouldn't want to hurt that jacket. No.
Do you want to backpack for this?
Ready? And action. And go.
Hurt myself.
I think one of the things that makes comedy work is you can't be afraid. You got to look like a fool. And nobody looks like a bigger fool than I do in Tommy Boy.
Take 3.
God, he's so sweet. You have no idea how much having you and your mama's family means to him. He says the sweetest things about her.
Yeah, well, everything he does is sweet. So when does Sweetie get back?
This Friday, which is good because we're backed up on shipping orders as it is.
I'm sorry, that's great. It's so great.
And when you're doing a comedy like this where there's a lot of big jokes and set pieces, we wanted to anchor the romance of it with an actress that could portray this character in a very real but sweet way. And Julie does just a great job.
Watch your language in front of the lady, punk. Ah, dang. So you're saying about...
I'm sure.
You better watch your mouth, punk, because I'll come like wind and rain all over ya. Horses patoot, jeepers creepers.
I had known David Spade. We were in acting class together, actually. I was in class with him and Rob Schneider, and they used to get kicked out a lot for making fun of people, like they were in high school, but they were the most interesting part of that particular class, so I hung out with them a lot, and I became friends with David. So I got the script, and I was a big SNL fan always, and I loved Chris and David, and so I auditioned and read for it, and they liked me, and they cast me. It wasn't more complicated than that, really.
Sir, this is pathetic.
It was partially the way the character I played was written, but it was also the relationship that Chris and I had. And that was really the most special part of the whole experience of working on the movie.
That was awesome. I love you.
When we started surrounding ourselves with Brian Dennehy and Rob Lowe and Julie Warner and Bo Derek, suddenly we knew we were onto something. And, you know, we were the little engine that could, you know, because we knew nobody really knew Dave and Chris from outside SNL. And so to surround those guys, especially then with the addition of Dan Aykroyd, we knew we were onto something.
Mr. Zalinsky, I'm Tommy Callahan, Big Tom Callahan's son.
I like that you man.
Stutter, man.
I went a little heavy with the pine tree air.
6 marker.
He came in to meet with Pete, and he had this character down. And he had already come up with a voice, and he said, oh, and the haircut should be a straight-up buzz. And he had this wonderful Zalinsky character already working on it when he first came in to talk to Pete.
Hey, you guys look sharp, really sharp.
We shot everything with Dan in, I think, about 2 or 3 days. And since then, I remember he signed my poster. He said, thanks for introducing me to a whole new generation that knows me as Zalinsky.
Take 11. Marker.
That does it. I'm not gonna stand here and take this.
No.
Huh? Here we go.
He's got nothing.
Take 12. Okay.
That does it. I'm not gonna stand here and take that.
Not over yet, creep.
David, I've known him for a long time, and He's got that little style of his down perfectly.
So I'm gonna cut after other guys break tests.
Sorry.
Then I'll stop.
How about we cut before the movie starts and we hire someone else?
David has a moment in the movie I really like where it's out on the street.
Hey, you tried as hard as you could. When we first started out, I thought you just walked through this like you walked through everything else, but you didn't. Dad would have been proud of you.
And he's really great. David's an actor that has, everybody knows he's funny, but he also has, you know, an ability to do drama. And just that one little moment is a really great moment.
Somebody's got a little case of forget-line-itis. He's had it for about 12 weeks.
All set here.
Did I know it was good when we did it? I think that I knew after when things weren't good, because I knew what was good. I knew that no matter how tired we were and how crazy, it's still funny. So it's like surgery. Well, no matter what happened during, afterwards, you're glad it's done and you're happy. You check the elevators, I'll check my mark. I've been looking for it this whole time.
You son of a...
Despite how tough it was to make the movie, the fact that we were really enjoying ourselves during the making of the movie was a good sign.
Marker.
Feels good up my ass. Rolling.
I haven't seen everybody in a long time, but I can account that they had a good time making the film. We all did.
Hold on, then.
Sometimes when you make a comedy, 3 or 4 people are in one movie and 1 or 2 people are not in that same movie. And I think everyone in this picture is in the same movie.
You better run!
You know, it's kismet. You know, sometimes it's just right place, right time, right people in the right time of their lives. And that's what this was.
Oh, that's it! Keep it coming! All over! I'm not clean yet. You'll come back Tuesday.
I remember the first time that Sherry actually saw the movie, the lights came up and she was crying.
And she said, that's not the movie that I bought. But it was a compliment. She loved it, but it was not the original movie that they bought. It sort of found itself, and, you know, there's a lot of our flesh and blood in there along the way.
525, that's it! Oh!
Head cut. Very good.
Boy, I hit it.
And it was no blockbuster. That's the other funny thing. People think it made hundreds of millions of dollars. It didn't. It probably made 35 million. But you know what I mean? There's some that just make $300, $400 million. Nobody really cares. So it's more important for me to have something that sticks around.
To this day, you know, having done several movies that have grossed, you know, 5 times what that movie has done, still the movie that people react to the most is Tommy Boy.
Housekeeping, you want men for pillow? Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
That's when you can really feel good, you know, about a movie, when you know that it's transcended and become part of the culture.
That guy in a little coat.
Maybe it isn't, you know, The Godfather, but it has brought so much joy to so many people, and to be part of that is, you know, it's a cool thing.
Luke, I am your father.
I've interrupted happy time.
I think what made this film resonate with people was its heart. It had a lot of jokes, had a lot of laughs, but it also really had a story that they got invested in. And I'm so glad that we got that, even down to just that one little fish that jumps when he's waiting for a response from his father. And that's the, you know, the final cherry on top to Tommy Boy.
Hey! Thanks, Dad! Oh, son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
I don't know how Pete Segal did it, because he had to be on the set at 6 a.m. or whatever, and then he'd work a full day, and then he and I'd be waiting for him back at his hotel room, and he'd work till 1 or 2 in the morning on what the next couple days worth of shooting was going to be. It was that catch as catch can, and I honestly have no idea how he did it, but we'd be sitting there just like completely wiped out, and Pete would say, I remember once I was at a gas station, and as I backed the car up, I hooked the car door on the pump. You think we could use that somewhere? And that's how we were throwing it out there.
So we started brainstorming. We put little index cards down on my floor. Funny things that happened to us, you know, and he told a story of one time he was driving in his car and he didn't latch the hood properly and it flew up in his face. Okay, good, there's an idea. Put that down.
And then on top of it, what was valuable to Pete Segal at this time is that because I was around these guys all the time, Farley and Spade, it's true. As they talked with each other, you just write it down and put it straight into the script. I saw Farley do Fat Guy in a Little Coat, just for a goof on Spade. And so you go, oh, that's going in the movie.
Is this your coat?
Don't do it.
One of the great compliments I can give to Bill, especially on this movie, is he was responsible for, among other things, Fat Guy in a Little Coat, being sung.
In the script, I think it says, fat guy in a little coat, fat guy in a little coat. Well, during David's close-ups, Chris was off camera.
Richard, is this your coat?
Don't.
Fat guy in little coat. Fat guy in little coat. Help! There's a fat guy in a little coat.
Take it off, Pinky Dick, I'm serious.
And by maybe take 5 or 6, he was kind of getting bored and changing it up. And I hear him off camera at dailies starting to sing.
Don't.
Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat.
I couldn't help but just continue to, howl at what was going on off camera.
Off me. He's a fat guy in a little coat.
Take it off, dickhead, I'm not kidding.
There's one day we got the dailies back, but we didn't like Chris's t-shirt. It was white and it just was too bright, and we knew we had to go back and reshoot it. He says, if you're gonna go back and reshoot it, have him sing it this time. I said, okay. And it was what made that scene magical and so memorable.
Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat.
Take it off, dickhead, I'm serious.
Richard, what's happening? Oh. What my associate is trying to say is, you looked at me like,
Okay, one more time, keep rolling. And action.
I talked with him about, what could we do to liven this scene up when Chris is trying to sell, brake pads to this guy. And we'd come up with the idea of taking 2 model cars on his desk and going through this story. And that's about all I told Chris. I said, okay, use these and except for lighting the car on fire, which our prop person had to know in advance, the rest was pure Chris.
Do you remember when Jane Curtin said, Belushi was like, I think that's funny.
Yeah, we're set.
And go back.
Okay, I do. Give it a little bit.
Grab my arm a
See it in
second.
dailies, I did it.
Let me see you grab my arm.
See it in dailies.
Watch
Okay.
this, Pete.
No, I just go like this.
Now let's see what happens when you're driving with the other guy's brake pads. You're driving along, and all of a sudden the kids are yelling from the back seat, "Hey, I can't stop! Help! There's a cliff! Ah! And your family's screaming, oh my God, we're burning alive!
The deer hit, which is one of the the most memorable scenes in the movie, was an idea that Fred pitched to me at dinner. I remember at the Ivy on Robertson, and Lorne was there, and he said, Pete, Fred has an idea. Fred, tell it. It's quite good. But he told me the story, and it's based on an actual 911 phone call. And so we said, okay, well, we'll make it the PG-13 version, and the rest is history.
Unfortunately, because our schedule shifted, we were now trying to shoot with the deer during its mating season. And no matter what we did to try and cajole the deer to do this or that, it pretty much had only one thing on its mind. So, for example, when we had to shoot the scene of the deer crossing the road and we were shooting between its legs at the oncoming car that had Farley and Spade in it, that actually wasn't a deer. We couldn't get a deer to cooperate. So I had found I found a goat that was interested in show business, and we wound up sort of taping cutting up its stomach and spray painting its legs and the bottom of the stomach so it would look deer-like, and we were able to get the goat to walk back and forth through the frame.
Apparently, as I found out, you can't train a deer. So, you know, I had drawn these elaborate storyboards, the deer waking up and goring, you know, the seat with its horns and coming up out of the roof and standing on the car and running away. And our first animal trainer just looked at me, you know, maybe we'll get you the last shot, just standing on and running away. I said, okay, let's try it then. All right, here's what we're gonna need. You're gonna need to give us a car. We're gonna need to put her in a field and let the deer have her for a month, and put food on the car so the deer can eat and poop on the car and smell itself and be comfortable enough to go. Now, you hide your cameras in the bushes. Now, at the right time, maybe 4 or 5 weeks into it, we'll capture the little critter pooping, lights will come on, and you'll get your shot of it being startled and running away. I thought, are you crazy? This is what we have to do for one shot? And that's what we had to do. We had, you know, this animatronic deer that we had spent for our movie a lot of money. Here's what we got. I thought, this is horrible. This can't work. And so we started playing around with that and reshooting and reshooting and reshooting. Finally, we took the deer skin off of the armature, and one of the guys on the crew just got underneath it and just started doing this, you know, literally under the deer skin. And that's how we got it. So for every moment of that sequence was fraught with difficulty, but no animals were injured. The changing the clothes in the bathroom on the airplane was one of the few scenes from the original script which went completely untouched. When I read the original story, I knew that scene alone was worth making the movie.
Pete said to me at one point, he said, you know, tomorrow we're going to do the scene in the aircraft. He says, the production designer says, you're not going to be able to shoot that. It seems that the producer, or maybe Pete, had him design the bathroom too small, they thought. And they never thought we could pull it off. But we did, and it was funny.
I f***ed that up.
Well, the cow tipping thing came up. I was sitting in the first meeting with Lorne and the writers, and I said, we should have a scene where we go cow tipping.
What you do is you put your shoulder into her and you push. And they fall over.
They thought that was hilarious. I don't think they thought I was serious. They researched it, found out that's what people do, and so the cow tipping scene went in the movie. So that's my contribution to the script of Tommy Boy.
Stay between the udder and the hock. It's a 32 belly option on 2-on-2.
We shot the cow tipping scene out in this very remote part of Canada. It was about 10 degrees below zero. There was snow on the ground you couldn't quite see. And we'd shot Chris and Rob Lowe, you know, running with the cattle, the stampede, and the last thing we had of the night, or quickly becoming morning, was Chris getting his head stepped on by the fake cow leg.
And action.
We ended up doing about, I don't know, 400,000 takes, and poor Chris is sticking his face into the freezing cold, coagulating mud as the sun is coming up and the roosters are crowing. And, you know, I just kept saying, again, again, again. And I think we had it on take 3.
Son of a... Holy shnikes!
One of the best memories I have of just fixing something on the day, thanks again to working with Fred Wolf, is when we were at the gas station.
Pete called me in the hotel room once. He said, I need a scene at this gas station with Rob Lowe. Can you think of anything funny? And I had seen Farley do crazy dances. So I said, what about Maniac, doing Maniac and squirt him with water and have him do some crazy dance. Now that's not funny on its own, but then Farley makes it hilarious.
I'm a maniac on the floor, and I'm dancing like I never danced before. Do 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 do.
It was brilliant. The whole idea of hosing him off and that just became, one of my favorite moments. And again, it was one of those things where I would get a call from Bill Kerr from the edit suite the next day, and he was howling, saying that wasn't in the script. And we started to hear that a lot, that wasn't in the script, and we'd make it up on the day, and that was one of my favorite Hail Marys.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Why?
He was good enough to where, like, I would call and say, hey, what if we turn on Carpenter's song? Because I have a Carpenter CD in my house. And when I would play it and people would come over, or if it was on in the car, I'd go, what's this stupid station on? Whose stupid CD is this? I want some rock and roll in here right now. And even though it was mine. And Fred, like, throws that in verbatim.
Talk about lame.
Totally. You can change it if you want.
I don't care, it's up to you.
I can live with it if you can.
Suit yourself.
He's like, perfect, let's do it. And I've rarely been in a situation where it's that loose.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby?
As long as it didn't mess with the scene and the set and where you had to move the cameras too much, we could try to get away with just internally within what we were doing, move the scene along, but add jokes.
It's a clip, huh?
You sure?
Even little things like that aren't really jokes were woven throughout, and I think that's what people appreciate about it, that it's not the typical stupid jokes. It was a different version of new stupid jokes.
We just killed Bambi. I'm out here getting my ass kicked, and every time I drive down the road, I want to jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge imbuntment.
We'll be in touch. I was telling people we had chemistry from day one. Finally, I worked it out on some charts and some graphs, and apparently we do. We started the first day, we walked over from the hotel together to Saturday Night Live. So we immediately kind of bonded. And he was a great person, so to be a good, sweet person is what I'm pulled into, and he's really funny, and so that's easy to be around. Hi. Look at me, not at him.
Dave and Chris had an unbelievable chemistry. What you saw on film was absolutely the way it was, and more, off screen.
I have a book I wrote called Acting
I'm an idiot.
High.
What's my book called?
It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Tubby.
Once I hung around those guys long enough to realize that I could draw from their relationship and their chemistry in real life, I knew even more so that we had to put that into the movie, and that's where the movie was going to go. It was going to be more of a story about those guys.
Did you hear I finally graduated?
Yeah, and just a shade under a decade, too. All right.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors. The first day, I knew we were in trouble because he was so amped up to do a good job. He had 27 cups of cappuccino, and his assistant's name was Yasser. He was like an intern, and he'd go, rolling, Yasser, line him up.
And Chris would take, right before each scene, he would down 3 of these hot cappuccinos. You could just see his blood pressure and everything just start to go, and then he'd be ready and have all his energy for the scene.
This has gotta be the one!
No, it was always, the only problem was when he'd drink all that coffee, and then he'd call me and he'd go, I didn't sleep good last night. And I go, why not? Well, I had 40 cups of coffee. Now, what did I eat that's keeping me up? I'm like, let's get a chart and try to break down what could be keeping you up.
I pump coffee into him, I pump tuna into you.
Coffee and tuna. That's what should have been called coffee and tuna.
That was our working title. So then it was a matter of who's going to wake him up after lunch, because he would black out from so much coffee and being tired. And then he would be cranky, and then that was that.
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want me to jerk you off?
What kind of hotel is this?
You know, David and Chris had this really kind of Felix and Oscar relationship. I mean, they really did. They were that. They were the odd couple. And they would have these fights sometimes that were real. And David will kill me, but they would end up basically with Chris like sitting on him. And that would end the fight. That'd be it.
Me and the meanie. Holds me down in the trailer, puts his knees on my shoulder.
Pounds his face in.
They were like an old married couple. You know, they adored each other, they were best friends, and they'd fight.
I'm gonna really hurt you on this one. I'm gonna be like, haha.
Don't.
Oh, my C4 vertebrae.
They wouldn't talk to each other. They'd just ignore each other. They'd talk to each other through the director, through Pete. They were really funny.
Chris.
I'm sorry, I'm just kidding around.
Chris goes up to the extras and he whips out his $100 Canadian bills and he goes, "Is this a lot? I'm not from here."
Shut up.
Farley could be having like some giant fit over something or other, and Spade could say the one line that sounded like a total insult.
Look, we're friends on the movie and not off.
But Spade will give him that cutting insult, and Farley will just crack up at what Spade just said and be busted, and everything would go back to normal.
Yeah, here's a money shot. You. Did you ever see Son of Flubber? No reason. Bye.
But that's how they spoke to each other. And then Chris would just start howling because he didn't take it as an insult. He knew that there was this love and bonding and chemistry there.
Hey, does this suit make me look fat?
No. Your face does. Okay.
One time, Farley said to me, he goes, "It's almost like he's my girlfriend. I'm like jealous. He's hanging out with Rob Lowe." And then I said, "Well, you know, Rob is pretty, you know."
And then it became like this kind of weird, they fought over me. Those two guys fought over me in the movie. It was insane.
Rob Lowe just has a charm about him. No, I remember that night. It was actually a real fight. It was so crazy that we flew back, and I called Chris. I said I just landed, and he's like, "Well, I think I'm getting the flu. I'll probably stay in." I said, "All right, we got a big day tomorrow." Rob called, "What's up? Let's go have a drink." We didn't call Chris. He was so mad the next day. He's like, "How's Rob Lowe?" Okay. "Yeah. Heard you went out with him last night. Had a drink. How was that? Where was I?" "I don't know, honey." "Oh, I don't like Rob Lowe. We're friends." Literally exactly that conversation.
And they had this volatile, fun, funny relationship, and I think that's at the heart of the movie.
See, Chris isn't funny, ha-ha. He's funny, oh, how sad. That boy needs help.
Well, I think the elements that you have there with the Spade-Farley pairing are, first of all, you know, the contrast in physical type, obviously. One big guy, one little guy. I think that kind of worked for me and John Belushi. That kind of worked for Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy.
They said Farley's funny and you can ride his coattails, and believe me, there's room.
Fatty and skinny, the age-old secret.
Chris Farley comes out of Second City. That's more of a disciplined form of training where we're taught to serve the writer, we're taught to give and take with people on stage. There's an element of basically stressing the playing within scenes and playing in an ensemble. I think that David Spade has a more sort of a solo personality based on what we call the North American high school sense of humor. That is acerbic, caustic, sarcastic.
Everyone tells us, you know, Toronto's number 3 in traffic. Who cares?
Really big Jim.
Welcome to number 1, New York. Take care, I gotta make a call.
You know, it's that kind of thing that we all had in high school that David has sort of elevated to a high art form.
All right, listen, enough of you. We're running out of tape. Okay. Thing about me that's great. Do you have a minute?
Chris would instigate something. You know, he was good at instigating, whether it be trouble or any kind of thing. He was good at making things happen.
That's exactly the same problem I have.
I have another problem you have.
What?
No, I don't. I don't have hemorrhoids.
And Dave's good at commenting on the things around him, you know, and observing things around him and making funny comments about that. So it's a good combination.
Oh, Tommy.
There's so many things to say about Tommy. Tommy's kind of a mess, kind of a slob, doesn't try hard. I don't like that. He had his...
You told me to do it again. I'm sorry, David. Hi.
Anywho.
That was their real relationship. Spade was verbal, Farley was physical, and the two of them were like the perfect fit, and that made our job much easier.
Ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter.
David's hilarious because he's so unbelievably smart. I mean, David never falls short of that. He's always can go on a run, and he'll go on for days without ever sputtering off, where I have like one sentence is doozy, and I got nothing, and I got to fall on a table or something.
But
so I'm more physical, and he's cerebral.
But it's easier to be mean for me. You know what I mean? Like, some of my stuff is sarcastic and kind of cutting, so it's just like a defense mechanism from childhood that I still have. But he can riff with any joke, and he can do physical stuff, and there's like a million things he does that no one can. And, you know, get some kid from Saved by the Bell to say mean things, you got me. Anyway, give me scale plus 10, I'll go anywhere you want. I don't know what that means.
He just freeze-framed.
I just went, roll credits.
I'd say in the last 50 years, they were the closest we've gotten, I think, to the potential of a Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello or, you know, those guys back then, because they were a great comedy team.
Oh, Richard, I'm so happy. Hold me.
Yikes.
We all felt left out when we saw those two together because you can't approach how funny they both were together. Nobody can come close.
Okay. Hi, I'm Chris Farley.
I'm John Farley.
I stepped on my line.
I'm sorry.
Can we take it again? No. John Farley.
I'm Kevin Farley.
We had this neighbor, Helen Coe, 85-year-old little old lady. Nice. We called her Paddington Bear because she looked like Paddington Bear.
She had the overcoat.
Right, the little overcoat shuffled. And we would play basketball in the backyard, and it would get violent. I mean, if you beat Chris, he just did not like to lose at any game or anything. He hated losing. So if I won, you know, I'd hit the shot or something like that. I'd run like 5 miles down the road because I knew he was coming after me and screaming. But if he missed a shot, it would be like the F word or, you know, every swear word in the world. And you could see Mrs. Coe outside her house just going, what are they saying?
Played Monopoly with him once, and he was pretty good at it. And it would always just come down to just me and him. And if I lost, instead of giving me Monopoly money, he was like, go make me a sandwich and I'll give you 2,000 Monopoly money. All right. So one time I made him a sandwich with like peanut butter and mustard and flipped the Monopoly table over and chased me around the house. Parts everywhere, and I was screaming for Mom, mercy.
We were sleeping in a hotel, I remember this well too, and John had asthma, you know, and so he and I shared a bed, and Chris got his own bed because nobody wanted it. He was too violent. But Johnny's going, like at night, you know, and you hear Chris in the other bed going, shut up! Shut up!
And in the middle of the night when I was sleeping, I didn't even realize I said it, I go, shut the F up. And then he goes, I just heard, and then I woke up going, did I say something? And I heard a, what? What did you just say? And then I was like, oh God, no. And in the pitch black of night, an ashtray went hurling across the room and hit me right in the forehead. That's when I
like,
slept in the bathtub for the rest of the night.
We had this boat, this tiny little Boston whaler, and we were pulling Chris behind it on like an inner tube, you know, and he's in it, and I'm going full speed, and along the lake there's all these houses where everybody's out. It was a summer day, and everybody's out on their front lawn, and he's laughing. I'm like, hey, he's having a good time. Look at him, he's laughing. And I did it for like a long time, back and forth, and I realized after I stopped, his pants had come off like a long time ago, and he was just laughing naked, just running around, and all our neighbors are like, is that the Farley boy nude behind that boat? We were sent to camp, you know, just kicked out of the house because we could not be in the house. Otherwise, we'd break everything. So we had to get into sports. So it was either swimming. Yeah, every sport that you could play, we were always playing because, you know, we just weren't allowed in the house. Yeah. And after school, we weren't allowed back into the house. So we better sign up for something like sports. And we weren't bright kids, so we had to do sports.
Right.
He was teaching a bunch of kids how to scuba dive at this camp, you know, and all the kids were like, look at him. He's like,
no. There's always one counselor in the boat watching everybody, and the other counselor in the water with them. And they all came up, and the guy was like, where's Chris? He's sleeping down at the bottom. On all fours like this, dead asleep.
He actually, one of the things he did in college, which he absolutely loved, which is sort of strange, was ballet. He took a ballet class at Marquette, and he's like, yeah, and I think he took 2 of them or something like that, and he really liked it. And he used it a lot in his routines. I mean, you can always see him doing the plie kick and stuff like that because he liked this ballet class, and I think it taught him to be more limber and that kind of thing. Because he could lift his leg up pretty high, you know, and do all those dance moves really well. In college, he sort of had the, you know, beginnings of what he wanted to do. I think he wanted to get out of college early, but Dad said, no, just finish your career. You're almost, I mean, finish your school. You're almost done anyway. But, you know, he got into trouble. I think he threw a smoke bomb in a house, and it caught on fire. A little incident that, you know, they were going to kick him out. But they let him back in, and he managed to finish school. But I mean, back then he really wanted to go out to Hollywood, or actually go down to Second City and start down there early. But he finished his thing at Marquette, and then went down and learned a lot from Second City and Del Close and that kind
of thing. He was in Second City. He already had sort of reputation. He was pretty young. But you could tell people were already talking about him when he was at Second City. And we went through Chicago, and there he was, and we were pretty solid in the cast.
Everyone was there. You got your Myers, Carvey, Dennis Miller, Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock. You're in a place where there's some tough competition, and to have us all agree he's the funniest one, that's a tough thing to do with that gang.
So he was sort of the child that if Bill Murray and John Belushi had a child, or Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi had a child, it probably would have been Chris.
He had so many bits that he did. I just kept writing them in, from Fat Guy in a Little Coat to his own sayings, holy shnikes, which he coined growing up in Wisconsin because, you know, he wasn't allowed to cuss, around his parents at least. And so he found a way around it. Every bit of original comedy material I could just suck out of that, you know, ball of energy, I did and put it into the movie.
Oh, you know, Tommy Boy story of room tone? We were trying to get room tone. Everybody was in there. Everybody was up in Toronto trying to get room tone. Everyone has to be quiet for, 60 seconds or whatever. And towards 55 seconds or so, Farley cuts a fart and goes, "Bo!" And there was like about 100 people in the room, and everyone just burst out laughing. Tried to blame it on Bo Derek. Poor Bo Derek.